good morning. Let's see who's out there. Bobbert, good morning. Good to see you there. Barb, Fred, John, welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Good to have you all here. And I know there'll be others coming in. So as you come in the room, say hello. Mary, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you're great. Sounding good. Sounding
Good.
good and looking good.
Thank you.
So we're ready to go, I
Back
guess.
at you.
Thank you so much. So gosh, so yeah, so today's topic is going to be about accepting our limitations. Hey Ryan, good to see you down there. And basically taken from Joe's book that we borrow from so often. He's done such a great job with that.
Mhm.
That book is just amazing, you know. And I know he put a lot of time into writing it, but when you read that, when you read what he wrote today about limitations, there's a lot in there beyond that.
Yes, there's a lot to pick from in it
Yeah, yeah.
on June 4th.
And you already had a meeting about it, huh?
Yes, my home group is online and we read from this part of it's an open discussion. So we do the daily reading
Mhm.
every Saturday at 10, which is a women's meeting if you're interested online.
Cool.
And so we already discussed this for an hour from 10 to 11. So I'm a little bit,
Great.
yeah,
Good deal. Good
yeah.
deal.
Mhm.
Tim is there and Walker is there. Good to have y'all. So, I guess we can just jump right into it. I can do a screen share and we'll read from that and then we'll just have a conversation and this is interactive, so please feel free to either call in to our toll-free number, which will be scrolling across the bottom of the screen there, or you can just chat and in either the live chat in YouTube or Facebook. And there might be somebody on Twitch. I don't know. We actually have a Twitch channel, and I stream this on Twitch, but I've never seen any content there or anything. So I don't know what happens there. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and do a screen share real quick with y'all. And here we go. Share screen. Chrome tab. I don't see anything. Why don't I see anything?
I don't see
Oh,
anything
that's
either.
right. That's right. Because it's not a Chrome, I guess. Here we go. Yeah. There we go. All right. So hopefully you know, Mary, I've been talking to you so much. I'm starting to say y'all now.
Good. Yay.
You're turning me into a Georgian.
Good. Well, I don't know about if you want to be turned into a Georgian, but you can certainly talk like a Georgian.
Well, I was born in Georgia. I was born in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, long time ago.
Oh, wow.
My
Back
dad
in
was
the
in the army.
when the dinosaurs roamed the earth?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so here's our reading. It's from June 4th from Beyond Belief, Agnostic Musings for 12-Step Life. And the quote is, "Keep your faith in all beautiful things, in the sun when it is hidden, in the spring when it is gone," by Roy R. Gilson. That's really a beautiful quote, actually.
Mhm.
Keep your faith in all beautiful things, in the sun when it is hidden, in the spring when it is gone. I like that.
Yep.
And here's Joe's reading on it. I'll just have a drink of water real quick.
And I'll have my coffee real quick.
I have water and coffee going here. The coffee is my stimulant to keep me
Your
going, I guess.
superpower.
Yeah, and then the water because I need to talk. Okay, here we go. Everything ends. Each day ends for us while it is just starting for someone else. Yesterday we challenged ourselves to get a grip on our own finitude or finitude. We won't live forever, nor will people we love. We humans have the capacity to imagine days, years, or centuries into the future. We can imagine a cure for a disease, and we might even fantasize about how we can contribute to that cure. But we also know we die no matter how many cures we find. Not accepting limitations is a cornerstone of insanity. What we refuse to accept can kill us. Alcoholics accept that they can never drink again socially. Codependents see that they have become addicted to the drama of their addicts. Lacking control of our own addictions or someone else's can seem intolerable, and we can become irrational and dangerous if we refuse to come to terms with our limits. Today's quote infers that if it was always sunny and always spring, there would be no beauty. The philosophy, enjoy it while it lasts, is a celebration of finitude. I don't know how to pronounce that word.
I
We
don't
would
either.
take we would take fair weather for granted if it lasted forever. Yesterday, we talked about the terror of death. Is life futile because life is finite? Au contraire. The shortness and unpredictability of life are what make it priceless. The universe that created us may be indifferent to us and our welfare. Meaning in life is created, not discovered. The length of life is finite, but the depth with which we engage with each moment is endless. How deeply we enjoy life is within our influence. With sober thought, we regain ourselves to the knowledge that fear and death will never be conquered. Rather, we own to our fears. We take note of how our base fears impact our policies, beliefs, and reflexes each time life pokes us in our bellies. We take responsibility. If we don't enjoy our lives while they last, who will? If I was to live forever, would that increase or diminish the meaning of life? If I could see it all and do it all, would anything matter? Limits and finitude are not enemies to spirituality or happiness. Facing life on life's terms does that facing life on life's terms, does that limit me or free me? Interesting stuff there. Um, Frank and Walker, I think I said hello to everybody. Okay, good to see y'all. We got 13 people in the room, and as you know, I'm grateful for this to have 13 or 20 people show up every day, every week for this live stream. It's so nice to have a community like this. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And I personally am going to need you because I don't know how much I'm going to have to say about this topic. So I will lean on you and Mary a lot.
Okay, so life on life's terms. I guess that was like one of the things ingrained upon me when I came into the rooms, that I can't control what I can't control, and really, what can I control? Right? Like,
Right,
it's pretty much when you get down to it, not much,
right.
really not much. And then I think I go about my life sometimes like I can control what everybody should be doing and what I should be doing and what the world should be doing. And when you really think about it, what do you really have control over? Um, so I think learning that distinction is important, uh, for many of us. For me, to what I can. I always say what's in my hula hoop, but sometimes even what's in my hula hoop I can't control.
Mhm,
Um, and I, you know, what I like about this reading today, I've highlighted a lot of stuff. Um, but the one thing I do have qualms with, and this is probably one of the only times I've ever thought, what was Joe thinking when he wrote today's quote at first that it's all if it's always sunnies and always spring, there will be no beauty. But I've been to Hawaii many times and it's
mm.
always beautiful. Whether it's sunny, I mean,
Yeah,
24/7, it's sunny, it's spring and summer. Even when it rains, it's still beautiful. And so I think he's trying to say we take for granted things. We take for granted that we're going to live forever or that we have
mhm,
more than this 24 hours. And what do we take for granted? And honoring the limitations and knowing that everything is finite, does that increase the quality of our life or decrease the quality of our life? And I think in the beginning, when I got sober, I was always about, oh, I want to be free and everything's free and no rules and no structure. And then I learned as I got into recovery that some rules and some structure really do give me more freedom. If I have limits, then I actually have more freedom than if I didn't have rules and regulations. And that's a way of giving me more freedom. So total freedom isn't necessarily my goal anymore.
mm.
Um, yeah, I love Joe's writings too, Fred H. I love this book so much. It
Mhm,
always teaches me something I didn't know and helps me look up an author I wasn't aware of by the quotes. So this one sentence I also like. It says, "We own up to our fears. We take note of how our base fears impact our policies, beliefs when they poke us in our bellies." And I had a big wake up call recently. Well, about a year ago, and over time, I don't know how much I've shared with y'all because I tell my story a lot. I don't know how much I've told on this particular podcast, but I've been diagnosed with many over time since I was a teenager. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was in high school, had radiation, surgery, blah, blah. So I kind of had the big C diagnosis early on. So it wasn't like I was scared of the big C because it had already happened. And in a way that was
mm,
freeing because I wasn't like waiting. And over time in my life, I've experienced different episodes of having cancer. Most recently, and a year ago, I was diagnosed with something that was not on my bingo card at all. And I was like, okay, so wow, I wasn't expecting this. And it does impact most likely the length of my life and what my life will look like. It's a very rare blood disorder. And the good news is that on paper I look terrible, but I feel great. My health is great. I'm happy. I'm moving. Everything is wonderful. It's just going to be a thing that helped me to wake up and go, wow, you thought you were going to live to be 100, but now you're probably not. So, what are you going to do with the time that you have where you're completely able to do whatever you want in life? And it gave me a wake up call to appreciate the time that I have in a way that I would not have probably had I had not had that diagnosis. So I feel that I can use it as a tool to become even more aware and more grateful for all the body parts that do work. So that was a time when inside my hula hoop, I still have no control over what this body chooses to do. It's just kind of a petri dish is always changing, and so that was my wake up call, and it sort of ties in with today's reading.
Yeah, it does a lot. That's a lot there, Mary. Yeah, yeah, I've been really fortunate that I haven't had any serious health issues, but the older I get, the more things happen, and I've had to have some biopsies and stuff for different things, and before you ever get the results, I'm on edge, about thinking about, oh, this is it, and
Yeah, this
but
is it. Yeah.
but and it's frightening to think about that when it's really staring you in the face.
Mhm.
On one hand, though, I've always been pretty good at accepting different stages of life that I'm in and really enjoying them, but I'm at that like the fun, pretty advanced stage of life now, and so you do appreciate more and
Yeah,
more that you don't have as much ahead of you. You
as
have
you
more
used to.
behind you than you
You
have
have more
ahead of you.
behind you. Yes.
So, but that doesn't diminish the life that I live today. In fact,
Yes.
I think in some ways I am more comfortable because there are limitations that I know that I've reached, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm not gonna be running the company someday. I'm
Right.
not gonna even have my boss's role someday. I have gone as far as I can go, and that's kind of nice. I don't
Yeah.
have to climb the ladder, and I've been there for. Oh, I've been in that place now for several years. I've kind of accepted that, this is as far as I'm gonna go professionally, and that was a really nice realization because it kind of took the stress off of having to, try to move up
Yeah.
learn something. Yeah, I
Yes. The
just
push, push, push. Yeah.
so comfortable just with where I'm at now. Um, but also, I think even in Joe's reading, it talks about how, and I've thought about this too when I was considering the whole atheism thing, when I was seeing myself as an atheist, that, not having what is it when you live forever? I'm not going to live forever, and I'm okay with that. And I think that having some limitations to how to the length of my life makes me want, if I'm aware of it, helps me try to live it to the fullest and get the most out of it and to appreciate the time that I do have.
Yeah.
So limitations aren't always bad. I mean, if we lived forever, I think that might be a little crazy, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
It would like what gives meaning to our lives? Is it what happens or is it the story that we tell ourselves about what happens? And is it really do we is it the meaning that we give to it? I think the story that we give to it and the meaning that we give to our lives is what makes it what your higher purpose is or what your purpose is or how you look at it.
Mhm. This person says that for me, happiness is increased with age, in their 60s, and being retired helps. Yeah, I'll be looking at retirement in a couple of years, and I'm really ready for it. I'm totally ready. It's funny, life just has nature, I guess, has a way of just kind of making ourselves ready for different things, And I'm
True.
like, you know, I'm just ready for that. I'm ready to move on and just enjoy my what time remains. But I was thinking about this. I wrote some things down, about limitations, and I thought about some important limitations that maybe I need to remember. So this is just some things I wrote down, just pulled out of the air or whatever. So I can't drink alcohol and I can't take drugs. By drugs, I mean things that aren't prescribed for me, things that I just
Right.
do recreationally. I only have so much time, and
Right.
that's not just time left to live, but just time to do anything. I mean, this
Yes.
has just been really important for me to focus on over the last year or two, is because it helps me set my boundaries to know that, hey, I sleep 8 hours, I work eight
Yes.
hours,
Right.
and then so that only gives me like 8 hours to do other things.
Right.
And that's, boy, you have to really, and then there's a lot of other stuff I need to do.
Yes.
So
For
um
yourself.
mhm,
Yeah.
for yourself, for
Like,
your
how much of
family.
that time do you wanna give away?
Exactly, and you have to value that, and I started to put some value on my own time, and I was realizing that I wasn't valuing it, and I was just giving it away too easily, and it was stressing me out, and it was
Yep.
making me unhappy, and it was all because I was trying to cram too much of myself into a small amount of space. So, I learned this was so difficult for me, I can't believe it took me forever to learn this, but yes, no is a complete sentence.
Yes, that's
No.
awesome.
I've
Just
only
yeah.
done that once so far, just said no, period, no, but it felt really, really good. Usually I say no with some qualifications
Yeah.
to it, like, "No, I
Yes.
can't because blah, 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 blah." But just no, no, no. It is the best way to do it.
Yes, and then to say no and then pause, and it's kinda like dead air, and people are waiting to hear what you're gonna say next, and then you just say no, and then leave the dead air, it's fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay,
but
so we
it's
have
usually
some.
about not being able to say no is why I get overcommitted.
Oh my god, yeah, same
Yeah.
here.
Mhm.
And I think I know I've talked about this before. AA, in a way, my involvement in AA, I'm not going to blame it. It's how I took it, I guess, or how I understood it. But this whole concept of you're good if you're of service, be of service. You stay sober through service. Your service is what it's all about. Blah blah blah. So I was really bought into that, and enough is enough. I finally realized, I don't really enjoy this anymore, and I don't really have the time for it. I don't want to spend my time on this. I'd rather spend my time doing something else. So that was a huge deal. I had to really break through a lot of guilt,
Yeah,
and I had to start saying no to people, and I just had to change a lot. But
yeah,
it was hard to do, but it was well worth the effort. But that realization of having time limits was really important to me. So we do have some comments here. Let's see. We've got Bobbert says, at 70, I'm constantly telling my inner 20-year-old, no, you can't lift that 100-pound box. Age is a limiting factor. I'm starting to realize that too, actually. I didn't need to hear from my young cousin, not young nephew, though, telling me that you need to be careful at your age.
oh, yeah,
You need to be careful
yeah,
at your age. Not, you can't do that.
yep,
I think that the difference between believers and non, we accept that it's final. Believers need to keep going, hence the streets of gold. If you really think about it, if you live for like ever in heaven, I don't know, man. I don't know if there's enough that would really keep me interested. You would be floating on the cloud. I don't know, but maybe they have more fun and games up there than I'm aware of. Bobbert, they call me old man at work. That's not nice. You could sue them for that. Um, anyway, so
yeah,
anyway, thank you for all those comments. So anyway, I wrote that stuff down. I also said that my energy runs out at a certain point,
mhm,
and I don't know. That's just important for me to think about. Even when I'm at work, I know that I do my best work in the morning, and I start slowly losing energy
yeah,
throughout the rest of the day. So
but it's
if
good that you know that and you can plan for that.
I do, yeah, I
Yeah,
do, and I tell people too up front that, by the end of the day, I'm kinda worn out, but that applies to all kinds of things too, even social situations, and this is okay to not feel bad about myself if I'm in a social situation and it's completely depleted my energy. It's okay to step away and move on. And that's again, I think maybe part of boundary settings in a way, but those are limitations I have. I only have so much energy that I can expend on certain things. And this is a really important one. There's a limit to how much I can help other people.
Yes. Before you deplete your own energy. Is that what you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Well, there's I can't there's only so much I can do. Like a couple of weeks ago, my nephew who I just talked about, he came over. He's got bipolar really bad. And I wanted to help him. But he brought a lot of crazy. He was in our house for a couple of days. He just brought a lot of craziness into our house. It was just nuts. And I tried to help him by speaking to him like he was a rational actor, and I couldn't do that. He was off his medication.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't end well. I mean, he's okay now. I guess it ended well in the fact that he's okay, but I feel like I that there was some damage to our relationship because I tried to help, couldn't help, and finally the way that I let go was like, "You're on your own. I can't do anymore." And I don't know if that was the right way to do it or not, but it was sort of out of just, self-preservation. There was just chaos in our house. We had to do we It was
Yeah.
time to move on.
Right.
But yeah, there's a limit to what I can do for others. My skills and talents are limited, and there's only so much I can tolerate, whether that be, um, you know you know, yes, it's good to try to have practice patience with people and so forth. There's only so much, and I'm not gonna make myself miserable by exceeding the whatever I'm able to tolerate, whether that be, listening to news reports of things. There's only so much
Yeah.
of the tragedy I can tolerate at one time or handle at one time,
Yeah.
things like that. So there are those kind of limits I was kind of giving some thought to.
And that's self-care.
It is, isn't it? Like, kinda what we were talking about, was it just last week?
Yeah. It's
Self-care?
self-care. Knowing what your limits, honoring your limitations, which is exactly what this reading is about. Is pretty much honoring your limitations.
Yep.
And, that just be that boundaries give us freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do, they
Yeah, you
do.
just have to figure out which ones are from old back in the day that you don't need anymore and how much are they walling you in. Some wall us in and some don't. Some are there for protection.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
Barb
if I
says
go ahead. No, go.
Barb says she's struggling badly with accepting lack of energy.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep. And j
I understand that 100%, Barb.
in AA, they say never say no to an AA request, not the best advice in all circumstances. Yeah, that's part of the culture that I kind of bought into. And there's a lot of good. I mean, there is a lot of good in being of service. There's no doubt about it. And that's one of the great benefits of AA is that you do have the opportunity to, um, serve something greater than yourself. You know,
Yeah.
and it can be fun. You can interact with a lot of different people, meet people from different areas. It's a good experience on one hand, but but um sometimes you do have to say no. You can really go overboard. I went a little overboard with it at one time and got disappointed by my experience with it. So,
Yes.
yeah,
And
and I've talked to other people like that too.
I think it was sort of ingrained, and I don't know how it happened, but if someone ever asked you to speak, you couldn't say no. That was sort of like an AA thing I took to heart. I don't know if that's true or not. Um, but I think you can always say no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, 42, really want to live life to full, but due to chronic fatigue syndrome, there is so much I can't do. Yeah, really need to, that and that be I'm fortunate that I have not had any physical things like that that I had to accept, but that would be difficult to have, that my body just won't do what I would like for it to be able to do, and just to accept those things.
It's really hard. I actually had that in the 90s, and, I know what that feels like, and I also know now at this point in my life what it means to, not be able to do what I wanna do, and, to just take naps when I have to, and also to say no to social events because I don't wanna get COVID. Like, I'm really struggling to accept the fact I can't do all the indoor stuff that I used to do because I really cannot allow myself to get COVID. I don't know what would happen at this point with what I've got going on, and I don't wanna find out. And so I just have to say no unless it's an outdoor thing. And I'm really having a hard time accepting that. There's because people are getting back into how it was before COVID now, and they're having just like we just there was an 11th step meeting that started here recently, but it's in a really small meeting room with like 20 people sitting shoulder to shoulder with no masks on, and I can't go there, but I really want to go there. So I'm having a hard time agreeing with the fact I can't do it and letting it be okay. And so I understand people that are also having physical limitations. It's a big, huge thing to experience.
Yeah,
And
I
it
can.
happens as you get old anyway,
Mhm.
but it kind of seems like it happens slowly. And
Mhm.
you kind of get used to it as time goes by. But to have physical crap happen is it's part of the whole thing is to accept it on a regular basis, and it I don't sweat the small stuff as much, and when I hear people sharing in meetings about, "Oh, this and that," I think, "You haven't had this, so don't
Mhm.
sweat that because that's really small."
Yeah.
It kind of, puts things into perspective.
COVID has really put some limitations on a lot of people, hasn't it?
I don't know if I mean, I think it has, but it looks to me like all my friends are going out and doing stuff because 'cause they're not
Yeah.
afraid of getting it.
Right.
Because to them, it might just be like having the flu. But to
Right.
me, I mean, I don't wanna find out what would happen.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, and I've been vaccinated and boosted once. I need to get my second boost, I guess. But I'm still kind of careful. I don't want to. Never really liked being in a closed room with a lot of people anyway. But I won't do that either, Mary. I avoid that. And we have a really weird situation at work where they just leave it up to everybody to decide, if they're going to wear a mask or if they're going to get vaccinated. Everybody's just up to do their own
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm like you. I might be okay, if I get it, and
Yeah.
then but who knows,
Yeah. But
So,
chances are based on my track record,
yes, you've
I
got
don't
a
wanna
lot going
find
on.
out. Yeah,
No,
I don't wanna find out.
no,
So
no.
it's a really hard road for me to determine when I'm in my fear and I'm being overly paranoid or when I'm really just taking healthy precautions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, there's some other things that Joe wrote in that reading that caught my attention, and this one thing caught my attention because I just had an interview with a lady who's an Al-Anon. She wrote a memoir, which was really good. And anyway, I just posted that last week. But she wrote about becoming addicted to drama, and Joe mentioned that in this reading that codependents will become addicted to the drama
Of
of.
their addict.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah,
an intense statement and absolutely apt description.
yeah. And I can understand it too because with that drama, I mean, she said that she was kind of like addicted to um wanting to fix it, right? To fix
Yeah.
the problem, to fix him. And, and that whole roller coaster of and the emotions, like the highs and the lows was really addictive. And I can understand that. I can see just all the
It
endorphins that must be flowing
yeah.
when you during the highs and the lows. And
And it's
uh,
hard to let go of something if you know you have a good solution for that person if they would only do it.
yeah. Yeah.
So you have to just let them screw up, and also it's a way for me to not look at my own life and my own stuff if I'm that ultra focused on somebody else's.
Right. She talked about drama too as a tool to deal with it, because she came from a large family, and so her drama a lot of times involved like people giving information about what someone else said, and so she said she's learned to cut out the triangles.
Yeah,
So she goes directly to the source of instead of taking what someone said, she
right.
goes directly to the person, I guess, is how
Yeah,
she deals
yeah,
with
they
that.
call that triangulation.
Mhm.
Yep, yeah,
So,
and things
I
get misinterpreted easily.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that would apply to me. I was thinking when I was talking to her that that wouldn't apply to me because I can't think of there aren't that many people that I just have me and my wife. But it does apply to me because there's a certain amount of drama that sometimes happens just in the workplace. That's where that would happen,
Yes,
where I think that someone's told me something. I don't wanna hear that. Don't you I wanna go to that person and find
right,
out what they have to say. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, becoming addicted to drama is something I thought about, and also just the idea of limitations is kind of learning to accept reality, and I think that if I'm not accepting reality, it puts me in a dangerous place to where it's possible for a relapse. Oh, let me put the phone number up there
Yeah,
because
I can't.
I think I need
Yeah.
to be grounded in reality.
Yes, absolutely. Or I can't afford intense roller coaster emotions. And I also the hungry, angry, lonely, tired thing, all of that is sort of a daily basis check, but then the other part is extremes. I
Mhm.
just don't have the luxury of that. I try to keep everything on the needle, 49%, not 51.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So I
And I
do
like
have.
what if you could highlight what Gilbert said to Fred about, the YouTube channel he was watching.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
this one here,
yeah.
just started watching a YouTube video with Dr. Sheldon Solomon that created the, terror management theory and dealing with our mortality, and he says that Joe referenced that in, the reading from the day before. Yeah, I'll check that out, Fred, and see that. I love YouTube, by the way. I spend a lot of time. I think I watch YouTube more than regular television. I use it for a lot of different things, but,
I have
um
grandchildren, and that's their favorite channel, so I'm well aware of the 11-year-old boy YouTube channels. And the main one they like is called Try Not to Laugh, and it's just video after video of
Oh,
all
really?
all kinds of crap, and
Oh,
I'm
funny.
like, you know, it's so that's kind of what I do on YouTube.
Okay.
Besides the guided meditations, I do like the meditations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
listen to those, to just kinda help me sleep sometimes.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a lot of the YouTube a lot of the YouTube I listen to rather than watch even, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people do that with this podcast too, you know? They
I
just sit
used to
back
on
and listen.
Friday nights with you and Angela, I would just turn it on, and that was like my radio.
Mhm. And Frank is mentioning Hitchens and Dawkins, etcetera. Yes. So, okay, so I was talking about that, the idea of just having some understanding my limitations is just kind of like just accepting reality, is I think it's always been important for me to kinda be in reality, and then I also becoming more satisfied by accepting my limitations, so knowing that I'm never gonna be perfect. So, I'm never I won't be. I mean, I can only achieve so much, physical fitness, for example, there's only so much. And just be happy with the progress I make, um, and not and recognize that, there are some limitations to what I'm able to do, and that's okay. Just kind of learning just to be happy with myself, I guess.
And I always tell myself there's millions of people that would love nothing more than to have a day in my life.
Mm, true.
Nothing more than to have what my life is. People, are suffering out there that don't have a cup and a bowl and water.
I
So
know.
you kind of bring it down to basics.
You sure do. That realization came to me last week when we were talking too. It's just that I guess I'm aware of what's going on in the world. I know that there's a lot of people that are hurting. Even in my own life, there are people around me that are hurting, and I'm so fortunate that I'm not there. I'm on a different. I can think about different things for my own life. And I'm just fortunate in that area, right now. And for those that aren't, that are still dealing with just the basics of just struggling to stay sober and everything, just know that just put one step in front of the other because you will eventually get to that place where you won't have to worry about any urges to use or I mean, because I remember early on, Mary, I I just had to go to a meeting to not drink. I
Yeah.
mean, there were times I just was gonna lose my mind if I couldn't drink, and the only thing I could do was go to a meeting.
Yep.
Those were hard days,
Yep. And I didn't want to be by myself. That was the
Nope.
worst part. I was so afraid to be alone
Yep.
because I was afraid I would drink or go to the liquor store. And, it's not always like that. If anybody in here is struggling today, just sit with it today and do
Yep.
what you can to get through this next hour and just keep doing that.
Yep. I'll
And one
never
day,
forget
yeah,
that addiction, and
yeah,
we were talking too, Mary, maybe offline, we were talking about how, um oh, what we're but because we've been sober for so long that, sometimes, like I said, I'm reluctant to talk about my
Early days.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
early days because it was ancient times, but in a way, it is kinda good to let people know that, yes, I was there too, and there is another side to it. You do come out the other side, and I've never forgotten those early days and what it was like, and I don't ever wanna forget that there are people out there now who might come to watch this video even later on, who's like, "God, I can't even think about setting boundaries right now. I
Right.
just need to stop drinking," or I
Yes.
need
Yes.
it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. But you do get to a place, just take it one little step at a time. The first thing is, to get some stability and, get into a community, not be using, get some abstinence, and then start building up from there.
Yeah, and let
But
your brain clear up.
yep,
And also, if you can't, get on Zoom and go to a meeting on Zoom. If you need to do a meeting every hour of the day just to talk to other sober people, do that.
yep,
Because
yep.
we have so many more choices now with technology than we
That's
used to.
true.
Yep.
That's true. Dale says, "Can someone avoid drama to a fault?" Why don't you call us, Dale, and talk about that? Or give us a call, Dale,
I
eight
think
four
you
four
could,
eight nine
like,
nine eight two seven eight.
isolate. You could isolate and not answer the phone, and that you could do it that way 24/7.
Yeah, I think that my answer to that would be yes, you can avoid it to a fault because I all these things, setting boundaries, l- recognizing limitations, could also be an excuse not to engage in something like say avoiding drama, for example. It'd be really easy for me to just like hide from a situation and say I'm not going to deal with the drama when maybe it would be good for me to talk to someone that in the situation or whatever. So like all of these things, I mean, comes with some balance, like we were talking about. Like, yeah, I have limitations, but it's still good for me to sometimes push myself to those limitations, to maybe learn what those limitations are. Here comes Dale right now. He's Dale has called. How you doing, Dale?
Good.
All right.
Dale has called. How you doing, Dale?
I'm getting
I'm
feedback.
good. I'm good.
Hey, Dale.
Dale has called. How you doing, Dale?
Oh, Dale, turn off the YouTube that you're
Hey,
watching.
Dale.
Oh, Dale, turn off the YouTube that you're watching. Okay, I hope that's better.
There you go.
Yes,
It's like,
much
when you
better.
call into a radio show, you got to turn the radio off.
Yeah.
Dale, so good to hear from you. How you
Okay,
doing?
well, I've never called into a radio show. So anyway,
Well, you have now. Tell me about drama. Tell me about it and what your thoughts are.
well, I remember when I first got sober, the thing that really attracted me, not sobriety so much, I didn't care about not drinking, but they talked about serenity, in the promises, and I thought, I want that, and I think I've achieved it, and I've guarded it, viciously over the years, and I'm that guy that will avoid drama at all costs. I will walk away. Um, I just don't want to get into it. And as you were speaking, I just wondered uh, if I'm going too far.
I know that's what I ask myself sometimes too. Like, when we were talking, well, setting boundaries, so we were talking about something last about self care. I think we were talking about last week, and I can use these things as an excuse not to grow or not to learn or learn and grow. I can use it as an excuse to avoid things. Like the drama situation, for example. And I'm like you, Dale. I hate it. I don't mind watching it if, sometimes, it's kind of can be entertaining maybe, but I don't like being involved in it either. And I will just sometimes just shut down, run away, walk away, and I'm not dealing with it. I'm not, maybe sometimes I do need to process it. And, you know, I'm really beginning to understand this now more in terms of the workplace. I don't know what I'm going to do when I retire, Dale, because I'm not going to have anything to work on, I don't think. But in the workplace, this is where this would happen with this would be when it would happen with me. Exactly. This kind of drama situation where I would just kind of hold in my resentment, walk away, not deal with it, instead of doing that triangulation thing that you were talking about, Mary, where I can just go to the person that is at the center of it and have a conversation, which takes a little bit of courage, and maybe I can learn something and grow from it too. So yeah, I think that there are situations, Dale, where I could just say I'm avoiding drama, which to take care of myself, but at the same time, that might not be the right thing to do in that particular circumstance.
I'm the
Yeah.
one that always says the thing that everyone's thinking and no one wants to say.
You say that?
That's been my role in my whole life, and my path now is to learn to not say it, because I've always been the one that said it, and then I always he got heaped on for it, but it was the same thing everyone else was thinking, they were just scared to say it. And so now I'm learning to keep my mouth shut. But I've heard that serenity is the thing that you can have 100% by yourself. The minute somebody else comes in the room, it's shot. So it's kind of like you can have serenity all you want if you're always by yourself, but take another
Mhm.
human being into it, and that's where it's on the line.
That's a good point. Yeah. That ever elusive balance, I guess, is
They're
what it's
ever
all about.
elusive balance. It's always going to be some sort of judgment when another human being is involved. And the reading today also said that human beings can also live in the future and the past. And I always think about animals like dogs. They're just always in the present.
They
And,
are.
I like that about dogs, that they're always in the present. They're not hyping on the future. So Dale, what else you got? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I relate to that workplace drama thing. When I started my business, I always, in the beginning, I thought that my customers were my biggest problem, but I quickly learned it was my employees and all their drama, all that personal drama. I was just like, leave it home. Come here, work, go home, and do your shit. And when I retired, I was so happy to get away from all that.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, look forward to your retirement, John.
I
It's
think
a
I
beautiful
am.
thing.
I think I am actually. It's nice to be in that place where I am ready to do that. I'm ready. It'd be a couple of years, maybe 2 more years. I'm going to do it as soon as I possibly can. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I was a flight attendant for
All
almost
right. Well,
7
I'm gonna.
You heading out?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna hang up now, so y'all
Okay.
can get back to the show.
Well, thank you for calling.
Congratulations on your first
right.
call in.
Yes, congratulations.
Not a virgin anymore.
Nope.
That's right. So I was a flight attendant for a long time, like 17 and a half years. And we always used to say it'd be a great job if it weren't for the passengers. So, it's like that with any job. It'd be a great job if there were no customers. Yeah.
I bet you're glad you're not a flight attendant today. I mean,
Yeah, I
goodness.
think with the COVID thing and the whole
Mask.
physical violence thing,
Mhm.
I would have retired at that point.
Yeah.
But I retired early anyway, just because I
Yeah.
wanted to do something different.
That's nice that you could do that. Okay, so I read some other things. Maybe I can finish up here. Some stuff here I read that I thought was pretty good. And I got this from an article, Happiness Lies in Accepting Your Limitations by Maria, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Milovic. And it's on Medium, the website Medium. But she writes that happiness does not lie in the chase. It comes after hard times when no one is sick, worried, or afraid. Ouch. Oh, my cat. No one is hurt, worried, afraid. It finds you while you hang laundry in the sun or write a mediocre article by the window. So quit making an agenda of your own personality. Remember how much you've changed and improved. Show more understanding to that person in the mirror. Learn to love yourself the way you love your closest and perfect beings. And until then, remember, you can always find something to fix within yourself. Choose your battles wisely. Wanting and getting it doesn't make you a happier person. Don't just chase goals, enjoy the usual. You can't get every situation turn out for the best, but those unwanted situations make you smarter. And happiness as we see it doesn't exist. Do what you love, and contentment will come to you. You work for happiness a lot, and you accept life as it is, messy and uncertain. Happiness lies in accepting your limitations.
What was the sentence before the last sentence?
You work for happiness a lot, and your life, and you accept life as it is, messy and uncertain. That one, or the one
Oh yeah,
happiness as we see it.
messy and uncertain. Gotcha. Mhm.
Yep. Um, the idea that happiness as we think about it doesn't exist, like we're never gonna get there, we're never gonna have happiness because we have, maybe we define it some other way. And I did have someone a long time ago tell me that they're not really trying to be happy, they just want to be content. They want to be content, which is kind of a nice way to look at it. Am I content today? Am I satisfied? Do I feel comfortable and safe? All these kinds of things. What is happiness? Am I happy? I guess I am happy.
Right.
But I could always, think that I could be happier or something.
Yeah, it's
Um,
perfectionism. Like somewhere's a perfect standard.
yeah,
And can
yeah,
we really ever attain that? And if we did, so what?
right, right,
And contentment feels good, perfectly
yeah,
imperfect.
yep. And
Thanks for that reading. That was lovely.
yeah, it was a pretty good article. It was written a couple years ago. I'll put a link to it in the chat here for people that might want to check it out. Um, Sometimes what I'll do is just before we come on, I like that I like the time of day that we do this because it gives me, I can wake up in the morning and I can kind of prepare myself for it. When we did these at 7 o'clock at night, it was a lot more difficult because I had already been working all day and I may or may not have been able to do some preparation. And I was kind of exhausted before I started. I
Yeah.
love doing it at this time of the day because I've been well rested. I've been able to think about what we're going to talk about a little bit, and hopefully that helps some. But yeah, I spend a little bit of time just kind of doing a little bit of reading and stuff, which kind of helps out somewhat. He said, Ghost says you can always become happier than you currently are, just not gonna be easy. So, anything else you got on this, Mary?
Well, I think it's not happiness like they say and all the little corny sayings. It's not a destination, a place that you go to. It's sort of a choice that you make.
Oh,
And it's
I like that.
happiness for me is what is the story I'm telling myself about it? Like what is the meaning I'm giving to anything is really whether it's a hell or not.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a happy or a hell. It's whatever is I'm giving the meaning to it. It's kind of in here.
Yeah, I like that.
It's
That's
in here, and I have to really watch how I language things, whether it gives me happiness or not. And I think for me, it's just about what brings me to a place of gratitude and contentment. What stories am I telling myself about myself or other people or the thing that happened? How am I interpreting that? How am I languaging that? It's those are all the tools that I find that help me to be content and to be okay with myself being imperfect.
I like the concept of thinking about the stories that we tell ourselves about things. Angela would talk in that way sometimes too. And I don't think in terms like that, but I like thinking about in terms like that because I do make up a story about something, that I infer something out of a situation that might not actually be true. Is that what kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then we pour concrete on it and then make it a
Mm-hmm.
reality when, like just basic, like in AA circles, when you do steps, they say, this is what I learned. I was told, tell the story where you're a victim, and now tell the story from another way where you weren't.
Oh,
Like someone took your wallet out, you were pickpocketed. Well, maybe I made it easy for the pickpocket. I mean, it's not like I'm not a victim, but like there's another way to tell the story.
right,
Like
right.
maybe that day, I was careless with whatever. Or there's
Mm-hmm.
always a way where you can be the victim, but then what led up to that, that maybe your contribution to it happened. Or there's an old thing called EST. I don't know if anybody's in here ever did that in the 70s. And it was like a personal growth workshop. And they always encouraged you to tell your story, and then what's another way to look at the story? Because if someone else saw that same exact story you were telling that were there, they might tell it differently because it would filter through their own meaning. So just my storytelling, well, how is another way I can talk about it to myself? Well, maybe this happened. Maybe that's not true 100. Is it really true? Like Byron Katie says, is that really what happened? Is that really true? And am I going to pour concrete on it and say, that's it?
You know, that is it really true? Is it true? Is so helpful. I started doing that there before the steps, I think. The Oxford group had something called the Four Absolutes. Have you ever heard of this before?
No.
And the four absolutes were like, I can't remember what they are: purity, honesty, unselfishness, and love were the four absolutes. And the AA people did away with the four absolutes because they were absolutes, right?
Yeah. Right.
And they like there needs to be limitations, I guess. But the one thing that I found helpful, I actually had a pamphlet on these absolutes that someone gave me, some old timer, and I don't know, I probably lost it, but one of the absolutes was about honesty. And with honesty, you would ask yourself in some situation, is it true? And I would do that a lot. You know, if I was upset about something, or if I had a really bad experience with something, or I was resentful or angry or worried or whatever emotion I might be experiencing, I would stop and I would ask myself, is it true? And it kind of reminds me of also what they do in smart recovery. When you go back and you look at the way they do it, the ABCs, these cognitive behavioral stuff, where they kind of look at how you could have reacted to something differently,
Yeah.
like how you could tell the story differently, like you're saying.
Yeah. How you
That
can tell
is
so you don't have a trauma. And I'm not talking about personal trauma
no,
and
right,
victimization, but like they say, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are.
right.
Like a pickpocket would see a beautiful queen in a gorgeous, fabulous gold robe, and all the pickpocket would see is pockets.
Hmm. I
So
love that.
it's all our perspective.
I like that. So Ghost Floff says lying to yourself is one of the scariest things out there. Even a lie seen the wrong way can cause depression. Never victimize yourself when you can escape it. Honesty 100%. And then Fred says, Byron Katie always says, who would you be without your story? Good discussion. Thank you, Fred. Thank you so much. So I don't know. I guess I don't have to push it to go an entire hour. I think that we've pretty much covered this topic. I've enjoyed it very much. Enjoyed talking with you as always, Mary, and really had a good time with all of you in the chat. And thank you, Dale, for calling. That was really nice. I love getting the calls, and glad that you had that experience of calling into a radio talk show. I've never actually done that before, too. If you can call this a radio talk show, I guess I'll call it that. It's actually a live stream, but we can call it. We can call it whatever we want to. So anyway, so what else is on the horizon for this podcast? I've got some really interesting interviews coming up. I've got a couple of books I need to read. One is I got another drug dealer memoir, drug dealer gets sober memoir, which those are always exciting. I got that one, and then I've got another a doctor who's an expert in addiction to read about a little bit, and then talk to them. But before I do that, I'm going to read a book about writing interviews with people, because I think that'll help me with future podcast episodes, is to think about how I'm going to write about what they're telling me, kind of help me with the listening and stuff. So that's what I'm going to have planned today. So I enjoy doing this, enjoy the live streams, enjoy the meetings on Tuesday. Thank you all for participating. I really appreciate this community, and thank you, Mary. It's always fun.
Thanks,
So
John. Love
we'll
being
go
here,
ahead.
and thank y'all for being here.
Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and play the music that I like to play to leave.
I
Gotta get
want
it.
to change it to Shaft. Can we have the Shaft theme song for next week?
I'll have to look it up,
Okay,
but
good.
we could probably do it.
Okay.
I do like the disco stuff though.
It's very disco-y.
Bye, everybody. It's been fun.